A burning poster can travel faster than a hungry family. In Iran, one short video of a flag, a slogan, or a fire can circle the world in minutes. But here is the question most headlines skip. What if the loudest images are not the full story? Because inside the same protest, you can find two very different crowds. And if you mix them into one single picture, you misunderstand everything. One side is the largest side. Ordinary people, workers, shop owners, students, parents, people who are angry about prices, jobs, rent, savings, and basic survival. The other side is smaller but very visible, a faction that turns economic pain into symbolic war. They push ideological messages, sometimes monarchist symbols, sometimes anti-religious slogans, sometimes attacks on religious spaces. These things did happen. After the November 2019 unrest, and again during later waves of protests, videos showed some people burning pictures of Iran's supreme leader and attacking religious symbols. During the 2022 protests after the death of Mahsa Amini, there were also reports of attacks on seminaries and religious sites in some cities, alongside many peaceful demonstrations. International outlets documented parts of this, and Iranian state media highlighted it heavily too. But here is the key point. Those images do not automatically represent the protest. They represent one layer inside a larger storm. So what is the larger storm? Start with the most boring word, money. Iran's economy has been under heavy pressure for years, especially after the U.S. left the nuclear deal in 2018 and reimposed sanctions. Iran's oil sales were restricted, banking links were cut, trade became harder. And when a country struggles to sell its main export and move money, the currency usually suffers. And Iran's currency did suffer. Inflation has stayed painfully high in recent years. The World Bank and IMF have repeatedly described Iran's economy as constrained by sanctions, limited foreign investment, and structural problems. Inside Iran, many families watched food costs rise faster than wages. Even when official numbers differ from street reality, the feeling is the same. People feel their future shrinking. Now add another ingredient, corruption and mismanagement. These are common complaints inside Iran, including from Iranian officials and watchdog voices. When prices explode, people do not only blame sanctions, they also blame their own leaders. That is how real protests begin, with real pain. But then something predictable happens. The camera changes the meaning, because every mass protest creates a storytelling war, not only in Iran, everywhere. Here's how it works. Step 1. People protest over daily life. Step 2. A smaller group injects bigger symbols, religion, identity, the entire system. Step 3. Media, activists, and foreign political actors select the most dramatic visuals because dramatic visuals spread faster than complicated economics. And step 4 is the most dangerous. Economic anger is reframed as a civilizational war. Islam versus freedom, faith versus modern life, nation versus the world. This does not mean the anger is fake. It means the anger can be redirected. And this matters because Iran is not just a country with protests. Iran is a country inside a geopolitical pressure cooker. Iran sits on some of the world's largest oil and gas reserves. It also sits on critical trade geography between Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. And it has influence across the region through alliances and proxy networks. So when Iran shakes, it is never only internal news, it becomes international opportunity. That is why outside narratives rush in so quickly. Some Western and anti-Iran outlets focus on images that suggest the entire country wants to abandon Islam. Meanwhile, Iranian state media focuses on images that suggest the entire protest is foreign-controlled sabotage. Both sides select the visuals that help their story. But real societies are never that simple. Iran is not one voice. Iran is many voices, religious and non-religious, conservative and reformist, people who want change inside the system, people who want the system gone, and millions who are not thinking about ideology at all. They're thinking about food, medicine, and rent. This is why attacking a mosque or burning a Quran is not a summary of Iran. It's a message from one faction inside a wider crisis. And it's also why the question, who benefits, becomes important. Because when protests turn from economic demands into identity war, something changes. Compromise becomes harder, emotions become sharper, and the risk of long-term instability grows. History shows this pattern. Economic crises can be amplified by external pressure, and external pressure can harden internal politics. Then polarization grows. Then the country becomes easier to fracture. You can see echoes of this in many places where sanctions, isolation, and political conflict overlap. The UN and humanitarian groups have long warned that broad sanctions often hit the ordinary people the hardest, even when they target governments. So what does this mean for Iran now? It means we should be careful with simplified slogans. If someone says this is only about religion, they erase economic reality. If someone says this is only about foreign plots, they erase real public suffering. Both erasures are dangerous, because nuance is not a luxury. Nuance is protection. When you lose nuance, you become easy to manipulate, by your own side or by someone far away who wants your country to collapse. And here is the chilling thought. If Iran ever slides toward deeper internal conflict in the future, the spark may look local, but the fuel will likely be a mix of internal failures and external economic strangling. And that is the part many people don't want to talk about, because it forces a harder question. What if the real battlefield is not the street, but the economy? So next time you see one viral clip from Iran, pause for 1 second. Ask yourself, who is missing from this frame? The ideological crowd or the hungry crowd? And if the world keeps rewarding the loudest images, what happens to the quiet majority? Tell me what you think. Is the media showing Iran's reality or selling the most clickable version of it?